Washington camping Spooktacular. My name is Allie Depew, and I am so excited that you are here for a spooktacular evening. But first, I want to introduce John Floberg from the Washington State Parks Foundation.
Thanks, Allie. You know, we'd normally be celebrating Halloween all across the state with zombie hikes in Spokane at Riverside State Park, or haunted forest at Sacagawea, or at Fort Flagler on the Olympic Peninsula with a holiday carnival. But we can't do that this year. We have to be staying safe. But what we can do is bring state parks and Halloween to you through YouTube Live. And don't forget, underneath your stream tonight, you've got 4 buttons. The first is the photo contest. Make sure you submit to the haunted tent. This is the night of the haunted tent. This is my haunted tent setup. So take a photo, submit, and get a chance to win an REI gift certificate. One tonight, we're going to award another one tomorrow on Halloween, and then a third on Sunday, the Day of the Dead. So keep those photos coming in. The other 3 buttons, those are for the program coming up. And we've got the bat mask that I'm modeling right here. This is a Townsend's big-eared bat. We've got a monster puzzle, and check out those links. I also wanted to thank the Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission for their amazing programs and making this possible. And of course, the donors who provided the support, and especially Inspired Classroom and Allie for helping to put all this together. And by the way, Allie, I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite state park at Halloween?
Oh, John, thank you so much. So one of my favorite state parks, it's been closed for a while. It's the Golden Dale Observatory, and they have been going through this massive renovation and building a new building, new technology. And at this observatory, the public can come in and you can take a look at the night sky. They've got phenomenal programs, enormous telescopes. It's really, really cool. And I love to go visit in the fall, especially when we have things like harvest moons and hunter's moons. But like I said, it's been closed. I have something really, really special tonight. We are going to get a sneak preview at the brand new observatory and possibly a chance to look through the telescope at the full moon.
Wow. Well, why don't you get this spooktacular started?
All right, we'll take it away. Thanks, John.
Oh, that's okay. You asked what was my favorite park in the fall, and there's many, but I love Cape Disappointment at the mouth of the Columbia River because it's a park that has everything. It has amazing history. I mean, think about this. Lewis and Clark were there. There's spooky forest. There's miles of beaches. There's lighthouses, and there's even a beach. And do you know the name of that beach, Allie?
Mark, what is the name of that beach?
It's not in Hawaii. It's right here at Cape Disappointment State Park, and it's called Waikiki Beach. And there is an artwork there done by famed international artist Maya Lin, who designed the Vietnam Wall in Washington, D.C.
That's incredible. Oh my goodness. And can anybody go to see this?
Absolutely. It's right there by the kind of the main entrance to Waikiki Beach. So, Allie, I guess I'll just keep talking here and just say thank you to you and John, and trick or treat, everyone. And a really big welcome to the 3rd Washington Camp-In, a spooktacular event. You know, one of my favorite things about being a state parks commissioner is being able to participate in events like this. But usually we're at a state park or 2 or 3 state parks. And while I miss that opportunity terribly, I'm grateful that technology can allow us to still be with each other and celebrate the great outdoors in our wonderful state parks. And thanks to the Washington State Parks Foundation for scaring up the Halloween spirit with tonight's camp-in. I've already mentioned there's 124 developed state parks, an amazing treasury of cultural, historical, geological, and recreational and educational places and things, but some of them are particularly well suited for Halloween adventure. Did you know that our parks include dark and eerie caves, including bats and spiders? Like my pet spider, Simone, came from a cave in a state park. Our parks also include scary underground bunkers, some of which I'm told by our rangers are actually haunted. Did you know that we have one pre-Civil War fort and one pre-World War I fort that are now state parks, and places where ghost soldiers still stand guard. And inside several of our state parks, we have graves, real graves. And even in one, what you might think of as a graveyard. And spirits are out and about every single night after dark. And on many of our ocean beach parks, the sorrowful wails of shipwrecked pirates break the nighttime quiet. And finally, we've got tons of dark and spooky forest in many of our state parks. And did you know we actually have a ghost forest? It's true, we really do, a ghost forest. And all of these forests are filled with natural and a few unnatural residents. And as you know, I visit all of our parks while serving as a commissioner, and I promise you, if you go this time of year, you'll have a spooktacular adventure. So if you can't visit our parks in person, go to the Washington State Parks Foundation website and take a virtual tour. So let me just end by saying tonight, as you've heard a little bit of this, we've got a terrific lineup for you. You're going to learn about bats and spiders. You're going to enjoy some scary storytelling. Get ready to dance. You're going to learn how to cook. You're going to enjoy, as been mentioned, a full moon live view from the Golden Dale Observatory. And you know what else? It's time for you to light up your pumpkins, grab your flashlights and treats, put on your costumes, and join us for the Great Camp In Spooktacular. And happy Halloween, everyone. Back to you, Allie.
Thank you, Mark. Mark, before you go, I had a question for you.
Okay.
Do you know how to mend a pumpkin?
Mend a pumpkin?
Yes, mend a pumpkin.
No. How do you mend a pumpkin?
You mend it with a pumpkin patch.
Oh, of course.
Grown. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Mark. And you know, I have to say that was kind of a bad joke, but I have got a treat for you next. We have a world-class storyteller who is going to start us off. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Norm Brecky, are you there? I think he's ready. I think he's coming. And boy, are you going to love what Norm has in store for us. Norm is not only a world-class storyteller, but he is also a very honored and also decorated educator. So without further ado, Norm,
Well,
I
hello.
see you.
They see me. Oh, hello. Hello, everyone. It's I'm glad to be here. So happy to be here. And I am going to teach you a little story, and it's going to be easy. You'll be able to scare your friends with this. It's called a jump story. So a jump story, they were designed to scare kids. Really, that's the only reason they ever made them. And they don't even really make sense, but they do scare kids. And so here's one that you can learn pretty quickly. Here we go. There was a dark, dark town. And in the dark, dark town was a dark, dark street. And on the dark, dark street, there was a dark, dark house. And in the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark room. And in the dark, dark room was a dark, dark closet. And in the dark, dark closet, there was a dark, dark shelf. And on the dark, dark shelf, there was a dark, dark box. And in the dark, dark box, there was a. And that's a jump story. Now, if you want to have some fun, maybe you'd like to do it with me, and then you'll know how that maybe you can tell a spooky story. One thing that you always do is you have to tell slowly. You can hurry it along once in a while, but you have to be sort of slow. Because sometimes when we don't know a story too well, we hurry, and that's not scary. And so you got to say it nice and slow. So because I can't hear you, I'm just going to trust that you're doing it. There was a dark, dark town. And in the dark, dark town, there was a dark, dark street. On the dark, dark street, there was a dark, dark house. And in the dark, dark house, there was a dark, dark room. And in the dark, dark room, there was a dark, dark closet. And in the dark, dark closet, there was a dark, dark shelf. And on the dark, dark shelf, there was a dark, dark box. And in the dark, dark box, there was a jump story. Now, there can be a lot of ways this can be messed up. Like, I'll tell you the funny story of what happened to me once. I was telling this to my third grade class at the end of the day, the day before Halloween. I thought this would be a nice little starter. It'll be fun. They're third graders. And so I started with the whole thing, and I got, and in the dark, dark closet was a dark, dark shelf. I got to that part. And then I said, in the dark, dark closet was a dark, dark, and I was just about ready to say box when over the intercom was,
May I have your attention, please? The number 12 bus will be 10 minutes late. Please wait in the cafeteria if you are on the number 12 bus.
and then the bell rang. It was time to go, but nobody moved, which was very unlike my class. No one moved at all. They're like, till the end. I said, I can't. They're like, why? Because it's all about the setup. I I I I can't finish it. So I'll tell you tomorrow. And they went out of that class so mad. But when I told them the story at the end of the day, the next day, they all went, oh yeah, that makes no sense at all. We wouldn't have thought it was scared at all. So it's important how you tell your scary story. And I will be back a little bit later on to tell a much scarier story. Not too scary, but much scarier than that one. Okay, so stick around. All right.
Norm, before you leave, I have to ask you a very, very important question.
Okay, I'm ready. Wait, let me have some help here. I got to get my spider to help me. Okay.
Get your spot. I actually have two questions.
Oh,
Do
good.
you have a very favorite state park in the fall?
In the fall, I do. It's a sentimental favorite. It's Dash Point State Park. Because when my son was in Boy Scouts, his very first camp out as a tenderfoot, he went to Dash Point Park. And being one of the dads, I let him go on his own on that one. But then every year they always took the tenderfoots to Dash Point in the fall. And so I went along on a lot of those trips with a lot of kids' first camp out.
Your coffee.
I love it. Well, and I have a second question for you.
Okay,
You
I'm
ready?
ready. Are you ready? Okay. All right, we're ready.
Okay, all right. What happens when a ghost gets lost in the fog?
I don't know, Allie. What happens when a ghost gets lost in the fog?
Ooh, he is missed. Well, thank you, Norman. We so look forward to seeing you again at the end of the program. Our next guest that we have tonight, wow, I have to tell you, my tummy is kind of starting to do a little bit of grumbling. It's about dinner time, and our next guest is super special. I am so excited that we have Chef Corso on the program this evening, and Chef Corso is the founder of Monty Boca, and what he does is he writes cookbooks, he teaches classes, he does all sorts of things to help people learn how to make delicious, fresh, nutritious, and inspiring food in the wilderness. And I'll tell you what, tastes a whole lot better than some of the muck that I have cooked up in my tent. So, without further ado, Chef Corso, are you there?
I'm here.
Whoa, what a cool bat mask you've got on.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Chef Corso, before we get started, I'm curious, what is your favorite park in the fall?
In the fall, actually the fall and just about any season, I love to go to Deception Pass State Park. The bridge there, the shore, the rocks, the forest there, it's just super, super pretty.
Awesome. That is a perennial favorite of a lot of people. Well, I will not bother you anymore. Please show us your magic, and I'm going to get my pots and pans ready and get ready to cook along with you.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, let's get cooking, everybody. I'm gonna take off my bat mask so I can actually see what we're cooking here. But thanks for coming along. You're here, I'm here. I'm in the front yard today because that's where we're at. We can't all be together, but it's still really fun to be able to cook outdoors. This is actually the first time I've been able to cook outdoors at nighttime. So this is kind of fun to have the jack-o'-lanterns here and have you here. But what we're going to do today is we're going to cook up one great recipe, a backpacker classic, and with a little bit of an elevated note. But as Ali mentioned, I'm head chef and founder of Monty Boca. Monty Boca is a company that I started to be able to help us elevate our meals outdoors for whatever outdoor activity you and your family like to do together. But we provide recipes, meal plans, and fancy little cookbooks so you can take along with you on your trip to be able to just put in your pocket and be able to follow along when you're cooking. So what we're going to do today is cook up a recipe and talk about how to pack, how to cook it up, how to pack with fresh ingredients and some a little bit better flavor to be able to have a really good meal to complement where we are. I'm here in Tacoma, Washington today. Hope you guys are all safe wherever you are across the state. But let's go ahead and get cooking here. So I am cooking on a MSR wind burner here. This is a little bit over 2-liter pot. But if you are cooking along with us tonight, you can go ahead and do that. If you want to save the recipe for a later time, no problem. But any burner works. If you have a Coleman, that works really nice. If you have a burner next to your grill, that's another really good one. Or a portable camp stove like this, all of those work really well. So for our recipe today, we have all of our ingredients right here packed in this stuff sack. And I love doing this for a whole recipe. So we've got our chopped up butternut pumpkin here. We've got our little ramen bundles. If you have top ramen too, that works really well. Got a little bit of a fresh ingredient here. We've got a nice orange pepper. Got some dried shiitake mushrooms. You can go ahead and use fresh as well. And we've also got kind of the flavor pack of this recipe. So this is another great tip I can give you guys for packing along liquids on your trip. This is an old juice bottle, but in here are 4 things. So we've got soy sauce, sesame oil, rice vinegar, and a little bit of chili. You can keep that out if you like, a little sriracha, a little chili paste, but all of those are right in here. So raid the pantry, raid the grocery store for these bottles. I'm sure you have some lying around your house, but make sure they're threaded So you can tighten it up nice so you don't have soy sauce on your socks. Done that before, not the best thing. So we're gonna go ahead and get our pot going. I've got our water boiling already to save a little bit of time, but I'm gonna go ahead and add our liquid here. And I've got a little flashlight here that could probably help us out because ooh, there we go. Nice, so we've got our flavor liquid in there. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in our dried shiitake mushrooms so those can get hydrated. And throw in our chopped up butternut. Another really great thing you can do with this recipe is roast up the butternut squash as well. It'll give you another great element of flavor. So go ahead and get this pot going. Yeah, there we go. And we're just gonna boil that up until the butternut squash gets a little bit soft. And other things to consider for this specific recipe. So we talked about fresh ingredients. We'll put those noodles in a little bit later, but chopping up a little bit of red pepper, orange pepper can add a nice layer of crunch to this ramen bowl, or some snap peas. And for me, I like finding a rock or a stump, be able to just chop up right there. So a little bit of fresh ingredients can go a long way to really making this ramen bowl really tasty. Other things to consider when you're making this recipe as well is some protein. So we've got some beef jerky, which can actually hydrate really well in your broth. And I'm sure you're taking that along on your hike anyway. Pre-cooked tofu, you make it a vegetarian, but a nice option for protein, or the pre-cooked packaged hard-boiled eggs to give you that true ramen experience. I also like taking along a little bit of fresh green onion, can really add a nice layer of freshness. Could also add some ground ginger or some fresh ginger to, again, just to add a little bit more flavor with not a whole lot of weight. So while we're waiting for that to boil, some other things about Monty Boca and what makes our recipes different. So all recipes are 10 ingredients or less, ready in 30 minutes or less, mindful of overall pack weight, overall pack volume, because that's a concern when we're going out for a long trip. And no pre-prep or dehydrating. I want you to go to the store, pack it up in a bag, and get out there and enjoy where you are and cook up something amazing. Other thing that is really, really fun about Monty Boca is that it's all community built. So we have a whole group of recipe testers out there, just like you guys, that take a recipe out, test it on their trip with their family or friends, send it back to me, and I upload it to the community recipe bank. So we have all of these really great recipes that we can enjoy together. We have breakfast, lunch, dinner, some fun desserts. We also have some dietary restriction recipes as well, because I know a lot of you guys are gluten-free, dairy-free, eating in a really specific way. It's tough to eat out there, but I want you to be able to eat well when you're going outdoors. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw in our noodles. Getting that boiled up here real quick. And another fun thing you guys can do out there while you're waiting for your pot to boil is one of the best camp hacks ever, which is campy chopsticks. So find 2 fallen twigs. Don't chop a whole tree down just to get chopsticks, but find a couple fallen twigs. Can also help with overall forest management out there. And whittle 2 chopsticks, and you can eat that and have a really good time. Make sure that you pack these out if you do use those for overall leave no trace. But if you do have a campfire, you can go ahead and just throw them in there at the end. So just gonna go ahead and check on our pot and our noodles here. We're coming along. And a little bit more about me. I'm from the Pacific Northwest. I love exploring. I just went on a beautiful hike in the North Cascades National Park, but I'm a classically trained chef and training in Napa Valley in Northern Italy, but I love going outside and I love eating, and I want to eat really yummy, tasty things. when I go outdoors. So really started making recipes for everybody to enjoy, because I like cooking and I like eating, but I also like cooking with my family and friends. And a question I get a lot is, what is Monte Boca? Like, what does that mean? So I usually like to go into the mountains and often like to eat with my mouth. So the Spanish version for mouth. So I mashed up Monte Boca to make a great company for fast, easy, tasty recipes. But we've got a YouTube channel, Chef Corso, great packing tips if you're wanting to know which stove to take, which ingredients are really good for packing. Man, it's smelling great. I wish you could be here. The other great thing for late fall hikes, and also hikes as we, or not even hikes, but as we get into ski season, is taking soups. Soups are a really great recipe to take along. They're warm, they're satisfying, and they're also really forgiving. So you don't have to worry about burning anything. You just have to boil up your broth and throw in your ingredients to be able to have a really tasty, satisfying meal as we get into the colder times. Ooh, we're coming along. Beautiful noodles here. So if you're cooking along at home or cooking this sometime soon, I'm just gonna wait for these noodles to boil and our butternut to get all nice and soft. Just needs another minute or two. I'm gonna go ahead and chop up our green onions because we're almost there. Nice. I know some of you out there might be thinking like, man, I'm not sure if those peppers can last very long. I'm going out on a long hike. But don't be afraid of fresh ingredients. They can last longer than you think and add a really great layer and crunch and texture to our meals, and much better than a dry, salty packaged meal. All right. Go ahead and get our bowl here. We're boiling up. I think we're almost there. Ooh, yeah, we are getting right there. Go ahead and, oh boy. This is another really great recipe to make for the whole family. Make just a basic chicken broth or vegetable broth, depending on your overall dietary restrictions for everybody. And then raid the pantry, raid the fridge for a bunch of vegetables, for meats and things, and have kind of a ramen bar. So that way you make one pot, but then everybody's happy. Oops. Slip your little butternut there, and throw a little bit of fresh orange pepper on there, a little bit of green onion. I've got a little black and white sesame seeds. Keep with our nice tasty theme here. Choose to add hard-boiled egg here for the experience. Who thought you could have a full ramen bowl experience outdoors and then this beautiful warm broth? Turn off our burner here. So we've got our veggie ramen bowl, shiitake butternut ramen experience. Oh, there we go. Get a nice light on it. It smells really great, man. I'm just not sure how it's gonna taste though. Man, if only there was a bat here that could help me taste this. Oh, we got Batman. Batman's here to help me taste it. Oh, thank you, Batman, for coming in. Oh. Oh, you got your gloves on. You can't do it. There you go. How was it, Batman? Good? Awesome. Well, I hope you guys can try this recipe sometime soon. Check out montyboca.com. We have a whole bunch of recipes up there. Most are free with a quick, easy download. If you're looking for a cookbook for a nice stocking stuffer, go ahead and check that out as well. But get outside, eat well, share the tasty experience, get out and cook together because it's fun. You can even just do it on the backyard, front yard, or just a state park or local park for a destination lunch, destination dinner. But get out there, cook, and enjoy together.
Oh, Chef
And thanks, Batman.
Corso. Chef Corso and Bat, thank you so much. Wait, Bat, come back here. Bat, come
Oh,
back.
Bat, she wants you to come back. Batman.
Batman, I have a very important question for you. Why
question for you.
wasn't there any food left after the monster party?
Why wasn't there any food left after the monster party? Don't know.
The monsters ate it all.
The monsters ate it all.
That's right, they were a goblin.
They were a goblin. Oh man, that's a good one.
Oh, wow, Chef Corso, that looks absolutely delicious. And I'm so glad that your sidekick Batman was able to join us today.
Me too. Thank you, Batman, so much for joining us.
Oh,
Bye.
that's great. Goodbye, you guys. Well, I'm wondering, Jenny, are you on?
Yes, I am on.
Hey, Jenny. Jenny is doing something pretty cool right now. She is taking a look at some of the pictures that are coming in with our photo contest. And I think she's going to share. So while you're sharing, I just want to shout out to the Bradwin family, who is all dressed up, and another family from Mill Creek, Washington. So hello, everybody. Jenny, what have you got for us?
So we are getting great submissions to our photo contest today for the Spooktacular campaign event. Here at our website, waparks.org/photo-contest, you can go and submit your Spooktacular setups as you're watching this along with us. Here you can submit a photo and also view the gallery, and we're just going to poke around and look at a few of these great photos that have come in. So here's a great Spooktacular. Looks like there's a cozy spiderweb nest here. A nice place for children and spiders to coexist with some hot cocoa. Ooh, this one looks pretty spooky. Living rooms, people's houses indoors and outdoors can get quite spooky around Halloween, I've noticed. And I saw a couple other awesome costumes here and setups. Well, spiders seem to be a very welcome addition to tents. I know that when I go camping, there's often spiders that find their way inside my tent. But I usually welcome them because I like when they gobble up those mosquitoes that tend to bother me a little more. All right, we saw some really great photos coming in from all over the state. Looks like Princess Leia. Doesn't surprise me that she's surrounded by magical lights. I mean, she is a general and a princess. So I just wanted to remind folks as well that we will be announcing a photo contest winner at the end of tonight's event, and that people have until November 2nd to submit their photos to this contest, and we will have multiple winners. So we'll have a winner announced tonight and then another on November 2nd. So please do. There's still time to set up something fun indoors and get your tent, get all cozy like you see here. And we hope to see more photos later on.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Those are awesome. I'm loving seeing all these pictures coming in. Fantastic. There we go. We're back. Now, our next guest is a really special ranger who happens to work at a spot that is, well, it's very, very old. And I know that it's also kind of haunted. The Washington Trail Association named Ginkgo State Park as one of the haunted trails that you'll have to explore. But she's not here to talk about haunted trails. She's ready to talk about something else that's pretty cool. So I've got my bat mask on. Laura, are you there?
I am, Allie.
Oh my goodness, I've got my bat mask. I am ready. I have got my pet spider. We are ready. And Laura, before we get going, tell us a little bit about what state parks you are at, and also what is your favorite state park in the fall?
Well, Allie, my favorite state park in the fall is one you already mentioned, Ginkgo Petrified Forest State Park. And that's because all the trees there are really scared. They're so scared, they're petrified. I'm actually coming to you tonight, though, from Olmsted Place Historical State Park, which is in central Washington, Washington, just east of the Cascade Mountains.
That's amazing. I am so excited. What do we have at this state park that is maybe a little bit spooky and a little bit creepy?
So depending on which park you're talking about, there are spooky and creepy things at all of them. I think the creepiest thing here at Olmsted Place right now is probably me.
Oh no!
But I'm happy to join all of you on this spooktacular evening.
Oh, thank you. Well, go ahead and share with us what you've got in store, because there are some really cool things behind you, and I can't wait to learn more about them.
Great, thanks, Allie. So I am an interpretive specialist. I work with the state parks, obviously, and happy to be here with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. So we're going to take a look this evening at a couple of different animals that you might find in many state parks or even around your homes in the areas that you live. So those animals that we're going to take a look at are part of the web of Halloween, but they're also part of the web of nature. And so they're real animals, but Halloween kind of spins them a different way. So we're going to take a look at some of the real stuff, which is just as amazing or more so than the Halloween spin. So before we get started with that, I'm talking about bats and spiders this evening, I wanted to see your Townsend's bat masks. Many of you, you've seen a few of them already that some of the other presenters have shared. I'm going to share mine. So I want to encourage you to get a picture of yourself in your haunted tent with your Townsend's bat mask, and be sure to submit that on the Park Foundation website. So here's mine. And the thing that's really fun about this is that this week, this very week, is National Bat Week. And there's a great organization that has a lot of really interesting information. We're going to learn a little bit about bats this evening, but I want you to go to batweek.org, and you can learn a lot more about bats than we're going to have time for this evening. There are a lot of great resources there. So check that out, because it is national, it is an international celebration of bats. So that's a really cool thing for this week, and why bats make sense as part of our Halloween topic tonight. So once we get started here, we're going to talk about bats first, and then we're going to talk about spiders. And with the bats, I want you to think about how you feel about bats. On a scale of 0 to 5, so 0 to 5, with 0 being, I hate them, they scare me, I don't like them, ooh, keep them away, and 5 being, whoa, they're so cool, I really like bats, they're amazing, I think I even love them. So on that scale of 0 to 5, where do you fall? It could be either end, or it could be in the middle where you're like, I could take or leave them. So think about that for yourself. Where are you on that bat scale? I bet you can guess where I am. So we're going to do a little trivia this evening. And before we start that, let's just take a look at a really cool bat skeleton, because bats are kind of like us in more ways than we realize. And one of the things about bats is that they're named after their wing, which is really the same as the bones in our hand. And so I wanted to show you that this evening. Get it up here. So here's a bat skeleton, and you can see the elbow, the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist, and then that little bone sticking out is the thumb. And then there are 4 very fragile bones that are actually the fingers, big, long, extended fingers. And that's what makes up the wing. So, boy, I would really love to be able to fly with my hands. I'm not getting off the ground, am I? Bats are cool. They're the only mammals that can fly, and they use their hands to do it. So we're going to do a little trivia now, a little trivia about bats. And I know many of you know a lot of the myths already. You probably have heard that bats are not blind. That's one of the myths, that bats are blind. Blind as a bat. It's not true. You may have heard that bats are going to fly in your hair. Why would they want to do that? But there are a lot of other things that are really interesting about bats that maybe you're not aware of yet, or maybe you do know. So we're going to do a little trivia quiz, and I'm going to ask Barry Bat to jump on board here and help me to get that quiz started, that trivia quiz started. So be prepared to think about your answers for the trivia on bats. Ready, everybody? Here we go. Hey, Barry Bat, come on over and help me out here. Well, hi, everybody. It's so great to see all of you this evening. I'm a cool bat because I can hover in the air without even flapping my wings. Okay, let's get started. So, bat trivia. True or false? Bats in Washington eat primarily insects, while bats in other parts of the world eat mammals, including other bats. Also frogs, fish, fruit, pollen, and even blood. Is that true or false? What do you think? Well, while you consider, I'm going to turn it back over to Laura, but great to see all of you. I'm really hungry after seeing the chef make all that food, so I'm going to go find something to eat. See you later. Well, thanks, Barry. We really appreciate him helping us out. So what do you think? Are the bats here in Washington just insectivores? They just eat bugs and insects. And what about the bats around the world? Do they eat all those other things, including fish and frogs and blood even, and fruit and pollen? Yes, it's true. They eat all those things. And so, interestingly enough, bats are super diverse. There's over 1,300 kinds of bats in the world. We have about 14 species here in Washington state. So super diverse, a lot of different things that they eat and ways that they survive. All right, next trivia question. Are you ready? True or false? Oh, this is not a true or false. This is, if an average adult eats 2% of their body weight a day, roughly 1 to 2% of their body weight, what percent do you think an active bat would eat? What percent of their body weight? Now, they're not very big and they don't weigh a lot because they have to be able to fly. If you said 50% or more, you'd be right. Bats in one evening can eat more than half of their body weight, which is mind-blowing. So if I was a bat and I weighed 100 pounds, right? I weigh 100 pounds. I would eat 50 or more pounds of food a day or a night. 50 or more pounds. That would be 200 quarter pounders, if a quarter pounder weighed a quarter pound. 200. Can you imagine eating 200 quarter pounders in a day? Whoa. So bats eat a lot and they need all those calories because when they're flying and they're active, they're burning a lot of calories really fast. All right, trivia question number 3. Are you ready? How you doing? I bet you're acing this. Trivia question number 3, how long do bats live? We talked about that they are active and they eat a lot of food, but they also hibernate in the wintertime. You may have heard that bats are like flying mice. Mice don't live very long, maybe a year if they're lucky. So what do you think? People average about 79 years. So what about bats? How long do they live? Well, take your best guess. Bats in the wild that live here in Washington State, the insect-eating bats that we have here, they can live, believe it or not, 20 or 25 years. And one captive little brown bat survived here for 35 years. That's a third as long or more than we live. So they can really live a very long time. And they partly do that by hibernating and being able to take their metabolism, which is all crazy when they're active, take it way down. And that helps them to live a really long time. So not like flying mice at all. All right, so that's a little bit about bats. They eat lots of insects. We made that point, and they live a pretty long time. So in their lives, they eat a lot of bugs. And that's really beneficial to us here in Washington State, because a lot of the bugs that they eat are pests. Not all, but some of them are pests to us. They eat they're pests to agricultural crops. So farmers struggle with some of those pests. And some things we don't like mosquitoes that bats might eat. But those agricultural pests that they eat, not only does that help farmers grow crops and food that we want to eat, but it also helps farmers use less pesticides, which is really important for all of us. So that's a little bit about bats, and they get kind of a bad rap, but man, they're pretty interesting, and they do really a lot of good here in our state.
Laura,
yeah.
before you go on, I have a question from you that somebody has typed in.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So Maggie, who is in Edmonds tonight, she wants to know, hey Maggie, how's it going? Why do bats have a curly tail at the end of their body, like it showed on the skeleton? So she was looking at that skeleton and was curious about that.
You know, that's a great question. Bats, we talked about them being really diverse, and bats have their tail, and many bats have their tail in part of the membrane, the skin membrane that goes between their back legs and helps them fly. So I don't know if you can see that here, but some bats have shorter tails that stick a little bit out of that membrane, or are a different configuration on the back of the bat. But most of the bats that we have around here look kind of like this. They have a tail that comes up and it helps to hold that tail membrane. And when they catch food, they use their whole body like a catcher's mitt. They catch that bug and eat it out of their wing or eat it out of their tail membrane. They just catch it right in flight. It's pretty amazing. Great question. Thank you for asking.
Thanks, Laura. Go
You're
on,
welcome.
tell us more information.
Okay, so let's take a look at spiders. And I know we're running a little short on time, but let's take a look at some stuff about spiders real quickly. People think, they get a bad rap too. People think they're really creepy. Okay, 0 to 5, 0 being you hate them, you would squish them, you don't want them around. 5 being, I like having them in my house. They help eat all those flies. So spiders, here we go. Think about it. Which end of the spectrum do you fall on? All right, so let's do a little trivia on spiders as well. We talked about some trivia with bats. And so I love how all of you guys have spiders on your shoulders. But let's now, question number 1, let's take trivia question number 1 with our spiders. How many legs do spiders have? Well, if you cheat and look behind me, you can see that even the spiders behind me on the wall here have 4 pairs of legs. How many limbs do we have? We have 2 pairs, 4 total limbs, right? Don't forget about our arms. Spiders have twice that, and that helps them to move around and get places. And some spiders can move pretty fast on their legs, which is really important because not only do they catch food and eat it, but they also can be food of other things. So they've got to watch out. So 8 legs, and they have some other body parts too that are pretty important for them. And they have these pedipalps in the front. They're not really legs, but they help them. And so the next question I have is, okay, spider trivia. How many eyes do spiders have? How many eyes? Think about that. And guess what? They have the same, here's the hint. They have the same number of eyes as they do legs. They have 8 eyes. 8, count them, 8. And even with all those eyes, many spiders can't see really very well. Their eyes may see light and dark or movement, but they don't see anything else really very clearly. But so why do they have all those eyes? Well, if you look at our spider, he doesn't have a neck, or she doesn't have a neck. And so they can't turn their head around. So this one's not accurate, but they have eyes around here so that they can see in front and behind them. And that helps them to watch out for things that might want to catch and eat them. Some spiders have really great eyes. And I just want to share with you some jumping spider eyes. Whoa, those are the front ones. And the 2 big ones in the middle and the front are really important for them because they don't spin a web to catch their food. They're an ambush predator, just like a cougar. So they wait for their prey to come by and they pounce on it. So they need really good eyes. Like those have 2 lenses in there, like a telescope, like we're going to see later. And they jump on their food and their prey, and they need to be able to know exactly where it is. So 8 eyes, really important to have lots of eyes to watch all around you, and some really good ones for some kinds of spiders, just on the front of their heads. So those are a little bit of things about spiders that I wanted to share this evening. We've talked about how they also eat insects, and insects are really important to them. And they also help not just farmers, but people all around to keep those insect populations in control. So another insect predator that's really important for us. And like the bats, farmers should like having them around. And I don't mind having them, a few of them in my house. We have 20 or 30 species of spiders that can often be found. And probably you have quite a few of those species in your houses right now, even if you're neat and clean, because we all have insects in our house, and that's what the spiders are after. All right, so I just wanted to wrap up here with, there's so much more good stuff to know. Go to burkemuseum.org and look up spider myths. They have a whole lot of great stuff on Burke, B-U-R-K-E, museum.org. Lots of really great information about spiders. So that's a good one to check out. So now that we've learned a little bit about spiders and bats and about how they are important to us in some ways, boy, there's so much more good stuff to know. But those animals, 0 to 5, did you change at all after thinking about them in maybe some different ways? Did how you feel about them go from 0 to 1? If not, that's okay. But I hope over time you get some more opportunities to learn about these animals that are maybe not as spooky in real life as they are in Halloween. But it is fun to have them as spooky Halloween critters. So thanks so much for joining me, and I'll turn it back over to you now, Allie.
Thank you so much, Laura. But before you go, I have a very, very important question for you. In fact, it's a bit of a math problem. So I hope you have your math hat on. Okay, yep.
I'm ready.
You can also, if you run out of fingers, you can use the legs of the spider to help. I find that's very helpful. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What do you get if you divide the circumference of your jack-o'-lantern by its diameter?
The circumference of my jack, if I divide it by the circumference by its diameter.
Yes.
I have no idea, Allie. What do you get?
You get pumpkin pie.
Oh, I should have guessed that one.
You should have guessed
perfect.
it.
Yep.
Oh
Thank you.
gosh.
That's great.
Well, Laura, thanks so much for joining us. And boy, I just wanted to say we've got a few friends. I wanted to say hello to James in Mill Creek who took the Bat Week challenge, and they had a bat box that just arrived today, and they're letting me know that they're going to hang it up on the house a little bit later this weekend. We have the Baker family that is watching, and they have a socially distanced trick-or-treating event going from room to room in their own house planned for tomorrow night. We also have, we have some friends from Tacoma that are watching that say hello, and they are having spooky flashlight. They're playing spooky flashlight tag as they are watching the Great Campin' Spooktacular. Well, I don't know about you, but I kind of feel like I might be wanting to move my body a little bit. Gosh, I wonder if Suzanne is around. Suzanne, are you around?
I am here.
Oh my gosh, Suzanne, you're an owl.
Ooh, I am an owl in my full owl self.
Oh, Suzanne, I just love it. So, Suzanne, as an owl, or maybe as Suzanne, I have to ask, what is your favorite Washington State Park in the fall? Is there one that has maybe good trees for landing and flying?
Well, indeed there is, as a wise old owl would say. Yes, Canasket Palmer. Beautiful trees there, lots of trees to hang out, beautiful sky at night, because you know I love the nightlife. Beautiful sky at night, nice camping, nice water, take a little bird bath in the lake there. Nice place to camp out and just hang out in the trees and hoot all night.
So I have to say, what should our friends that are watching be ready for? Do we need to stand up and have a little place to be able to move around?
Yes, that's exactly right. You need to make sure you have a little space to move around, because when you're dancing like a zombie, you need room to dance. So you need to be careful if you're on the carpet, or watch out for the couch, because even though zombies are half dead, you want to keep it that way. You want to watch out for any tripping out over anything. And like my campfire, I'm going to watch out for that. I'm not going to trip over that. You got to make sure you have space to dance, room to dance and have fun. And we're going to start out playing dead. So I'll explain that in a second.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Suzanne. Why don't you take it away? I cannot wait to boogie woogie and get my wings a flapping and my ghouly arms a moving.
Wonderful. Well, let's get going. So welcome everybody. And I'm so excited that you're here to dance. And I bet you didn't know that you could be a zombie too. That's what we're going to do this evening. I'm going to have you start out wherever you are. When I say a secret code word, I want you to play dead. Whether that means you're laying on the floor, sitting on the couch, or just standing where you are. And then when the music starts, that's when you wake up and start to realize that you're turning into a zombie. And you stand up. And when I say pose, scary pose, you do the scariest zombie pose you can. And then we're going to start dancing. Are you ready for that? So all you need to do is when I say the secret code, which is, are you ready? I'm going to tell you what it is, but don't play dead yet. The secret code is brains. Did you get that? Brains. Why? Because zombies love brains. So when I say that in a few seconds, I want you to play dead. Then we're going to start the music. You start to stand up. When I say pose, you do that zombie pose, and then you just follow me with all the different moves from Thriller. We're going to dance Thriller as zombies tonight. Are you ready? Okay. Well, I'm sure that you know, because I just said this, that zombies' favorite food is what? Brains. Are you playing dead? Okay. I heard it. I heard everybody fall to the floor. I did. So let's have some music and let's dance. I'm playing dead. Walk. Monster walk. Take it back. Monster walk forward again. Floor time. Ah. Bring it back. Now just move your shoulders and walk forward real fast. Bring it back. Oh, good job. And booty man, take your booty. Oh yeah, look at that. Use those zombie claws. Roar. Let's do it again. Good boy. Are you ready? Come on, forward over. And walk, quick. Again, and walk, quick. And walk, quick. Good job. Walk, quick, outside. Oh yeah, start over. Clear monster walk. Take it back. Balance, one. Take it forward again. I know, take it back. Like a ball, maybe through your shoulders. Shoulders. Back it up. Let it back in with your shoulders. Back it up. Now let's get from here. This move, that's perfect. Yeah. One more. Now left hand on your head. And cross shoulders. And walk. 1, 2, 3, 4 good time. One more time, another way. And twist. Circle again and circle. Woo, take it out. And circle. Take it out. And circle. Last time. Shake it out. And one more final scare. Good job. Who's out there now? Certified zombies.
Oh man. Whew, that was a good dance. I feel I got my zombie on.
You're a certified zombie now. You did Thriller.
Oh, that is so much fun. Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
I have to say, I like being an honorary zombie tonight. That's pretty fantastic.
That's your Halloween gift. Happy Halloween, everybody, and thank you for being here tonight.
Oh, I love it. Hey, I have just a question for you.
Okay.
It's a quick question. Do you know what a ghost's favorite toy is?
Well, What's a ghost favorite toy? I haven't a clue.
It's a boomerang.
Of course, a boomerang. I love it.
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't know. I wonder if zombies also enjoy those boomerangs too. They probably like things that are a little more slimy, like brains.
Yeah, we like slimy brains. Yeah.
Oh, Suzanne, well, thank you so much for joining us on the camp out. I appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I'll fly off to my nest now.
We'll see you later.
See you later.
Oh my goodness. So that was super fun. Our next presenter. Well, he's pretty fun, I have to say. I see him. He not only is he fun, but he is an expert at shadography. And I'm gonna use some of Norm's tips when I say this. I'll say it really slow, and I'm gonna get close to the camera, and I'm gonna use my hand. Shadography. Hey, Louie, how are you?
That makes it sound so classy.
So cool. So what is shadography? Tell us, what are we gonna do?
It's making the shapes of images of things with your hands. So everyone probably played with like making a little bird like this, and you turn the flashlight on it, and it looks like you have a bird.
Oh my goodness. I should have known. This is good. Okay. Well,
I know the classy title makes you go, what, is that just all it is?
Oh, that's not just all. I'd be excited to see some shadography from you. But hey, before we get started, Louis, what is your favorite Washington State park in the fall?
Oh, my favorite state park is Flaming Geyser State Park. Let's see if we can get the graphic up. Oh, look at that! Flaming Geyser. The cool thing about it for Halloween is the geyser went out in 2016, so now it's haunted by the ghost of the Flaming Geyser. You know what's cool though? Actually, when I was there, I saw a bunch of bats one time flying around, so that's super cool.
Whoa, Dad, watch out!
Oh. Are they gone?
Yeah, they're gone.
Okay. Oh, gee. Well, one almost made it home. We're breaking the place. What just happened? The school.
Barry from Ginkgo Petrified Forest or Olmsted State Park that just flew at you.
Yeah, I think so. That was crazy. I don't know how it got in my office.
All right. Take it away. Tell us what you got tonight.
All right, so we're going to make some shapes of things on the wall with our hands, and you need a surface. So, like, right now I have this little screen, but you could use a wall, or you could use, if you're camping, a tent. You could rock it in a tent as well. Just any flat surface that's white works better. If you try and make a shadow on a black wall, you have a black on black, you really can't see what you're doing. Now, you also need some tools. Tool-wise, what you'll need a flashlight or a light source. So like you can use a flashlight, that's just a regular flashlight. They work great. If you don't have a flashlight, you can use the light on a phone. You can use the phone's flashlight or a lantern. Lanterns do not work the best though because it's got a bunch of light sources. People always ask, can I use a candle? No, no candles. It's dangerous. So, stick with a flashlight if you can find one, a regular one on your handle. I'm going to go turn the lights off in my room. Let's play the cool graphic, Miss Ella. Roof, roof. Or how about, since it's Halloween, we do a little black kitty. Or, let's see, how about we do a spooky one, and I'll teach you how to do this one. A spider. That's an easy one to do. To do the spider, you simply set your hands, you hold your hands like this, and put the back of your hand against one palm so your thumbs are up and try and bend your elbows out of the way, and your fingers become his 8 legs, and then these become his little grabbers. And you can make him walk around. And that is a simple one for you to do, is the spider. We could do another one like a cute little bunny. Oh. Or 2 little bunnies. Now a little bunny is another easy one that you can make. Here's what you do. You touch your pointer finger to your thumb, and then you're going to take these 2 fingers and hold them up for his ears, and your pinky goes down. And that's simply like that. That makes you a little bunny rabbit, and you can bend his ears. Or if you turn him this way, he's a duck. Now, I'm going to do an entirely different kind of shadow for you all. And this is a kind that's different from just using your hands. This uses a screen. Ever since he was a little pumpkin and he grew up, he didn't want to be a jack-o'-lantern. No, he wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Laugh Patch. Why did they put a fence around the graveyard? Because people were dying to get in. What do skeletons order from restaurants? Spare ribs. What kind of fruit do ghosts love? Blueberries. And that's how we got the stand-up comedy jack-o'-lantern. Goodbye. The sawing a monster in half trick is one of my favorite Halloween tricks. Uses a monster. Look at mine. I colored him in. He looks amazing. All right. Just like in Las Vegas or on TV, the monster goes into the box. You can see his head. You can see his feet. What? All it takes is some scissors. Check it out. Cutting the monster in 2. Look at that! 2 pieces of monster! Now watch. We say the magic words. Spooktacular. What? He is back! In 1 piece! That's 1 piece of monster! Give him a big round of applause! Yay! Now, to do this trick, you are going to need a coloring sheet that has the monster on it, available from the Washington State Parks Foundation's website for the Great Camp in Spooktacular. They have some printable ones. You can always get it at louisfox.com/monster as well, where I've put a reminder video instructions for you. So, to do this trick, you will need your monster colored in and cut out like that. So he's just cut out, not around every curve, just a big rectangle, and an envelope. You can seal the envelope however you want. I'm at home, there's no one around me. I'm gonna use my tongue, old school style. If yours has the little peely off thing, you can do that as well. Now you need to cut the envelope, the ends off of it, and always have parental supervision and be extra careful when using scissors. You're going to cut the ends off of the envelope. So now you have a tube that you can slide the monster into. So you need to make 2 slits on the back, and I'm going to draw these with my marker. You would not normally draw these with a marker, but I'm doing it so it's a little easier for you to follow along like this. Like that. 2 slits. Now how I cut these across, because you only want them through one side, not both sides of it, is I kind of fold it out like this. So this is how the envelope wants to be. I kind of bend it out and make 2 little tiny cuts. 1 on each slit. So those are super small cuts right there. Super tiny. You can barely see them. And then once they're cut, I take the scissors and complete the cut so that they go all the way to the edge of the envelope. There we go. Oops, let me re-stick that bad boy. That was not gross at all because you didn't see me like that. Okay, so you have your tube with your slits. How the trick works, and to make it a little easier, I'm going to use a different color paper for the demonstration. When you slip the monster into the envelope, what's happening is he actually slips out of one of the slits. There we go. He slips out of one of the slits like that. You see him? He comes out of one of the slits, and then as you continue pushing him through, he goes back inside through the other one. So look at that. He actually leaves the envelope and then comes back in. Okay? So from the audience, it looks like he's going all the way through. He's really snuck out the back. What? All right. So then when you take the scissors to cut him out, you actually slip the scissors. Do you see how it's going between the monster, the yellow paper, and the envelope? So it's actually not cutting the monster. If I fold it this way, you can kind of look inside and see what's happening. See how the scissors aren't touching the monster, which is down here, or the yellow piece of paper. They're on top. So then you carefully cut across the top, and if you look, you did not cut the monster at all. Oh man! So now, if you want to kind of bend it, you can. Like this. All you do is just kind of push the 2 halves of envelope together and bend it out like that, and it looks like you can show it cut in half. Then you say the magic words, Spooktacular. You pull your monster out, and he's back in one piece. He can take a bow. You can have your monster take a bow. Oh, thank you very much. And that is sawing a monster in half. I have a spider too, Allie.
Hello.
I took a lot of work to find the spiders just crawling around.
Hey, Louie.
Yes.
Do you know what a monster's favorite dessert is?
A monster's favorite dessert would be creme brulee.
Oh, creme brulee or ice cream. Oh, man. Louie, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Hey, Dad, watch out!
Oh, so. Are they gone?
Yeah.
Okay. Whew, that was scary.
Oh, that was scary. I'm glad I now know that bats will not fly in my hair.
That's good. Yes. Yes.
Do not fear.
If I end up with my dad's hairline in a couple years, I won't have to worry about that, even if it's an unfounded fear.
Oh, my goodness, Louie, thank you so much for sharing all of your tricks with us.
You're welcome. And then if you didn't get a printed sheet, you can get those on the Washington State Parks Foundation's website.
Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, Louie. Thank you so much. Happy Halloween. Oh, I love it. Hey, we're back, and I see our friend Jenny. Jenny, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm learning about dancing and all about bats and spiders and some sorcery.
I'm wondering, do we have any new pictures that are coming in?
We do, and I'm excited to share those. Looks like a few people at home are enjoying these spooktacular events as well. So here on our photo contest, our spooktacular camp-in, people at home have been camping out and watching along. It looks like there's a few people that have been enjoying the dance along that submitted a photo here. Some very vibrant dancing going on in this family's house. Looks like they're thrilled for the camp-in. I don't want to alarm anyone here, but there are some monsters I'm about to show you. These monsters look pretty friendly though. So as a reminder, all of these photos that are being submitted to our photo contest right now are being entered into a chance to win some prizes from the Washington State Parks Foundation. And all of you at home that are watching and following along, you can find this photo contest and submit your photo of you enjoying a spooktacular camp-in your home. And you go to waparks.org, that's the Washington State Parks Foundation website, and then /photo-contest. So here you can submit a photo and also view the gallery of all the great photo submissions that have come in so far.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenny. And at the end of the program, we're going to announce tonight's winner. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. So at the end of the event tonight, we're going to announce a winner, but folks have until November 2nd to submit to the contest because we're going to have multiple winners. So if you don't get your photo in tonight, that's okay. We're going to have more opportunities to win through November 2nd. And stick around to the end to see who is the winner for tonight.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much, Jenny. So I wonder, I've got my friend Troy, and I mentioned that Troy might be coming at the very beginning when I said we have a really special guest from the Golden Dale Observatory. I wonder, Troy, are you with us today? Maybe. He might be. You know, Golden Dale, is an observatory, and of course an observatory is a place where you can look at the night sky. It's an amazing telescope that is available to the public. It's been under renovation, which means it's been closed, and they have a brand new building and some really cool technology, and they're just getting ready to start opening. And so tonight we are going to have a super sneak peek, a spooktacular sneak peek from the Golden Dale Observatory. Troy, are you there? I see you.
I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you as well.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming, or virtually anyway. Yes, I'm coming to you live from Golden Dale Observatory. And if you've never been here before, we've upgraded it quite a bit, as you may have just heard. The facility is about 3 times bigger than it used to be, and we have a lot more room. It also looks a lot nicer. Let me show you. I'm going to show off a little bit here. So here's the new building. Notice how curvy it is. And we are pretty happy with the new technology we have as well. We have the ability to come to you live like this with high definition video. And there's the building kind of zoomed out. And here's the big telescope, which we have recently upgraded. And we're going to be looking through that virtually in just 30 seconds or so. Here is a video of it following the moon and actually projecting an image of the moon. See that onto the dome there. This is about 2 hours of motion, and you can see the telescope tracking the moon. So we're going to be seeing a live view of the moon doing that, actually. So why don't I just show you that? This is the moon right now. And this is live from the big telescope. But when I say it's live, that's not entirely true, because it takes some time for the moonlight to reach us. The moon is 240,000 miles away, which sounds like a great distance if you're trying to drive that distance in a car, but that's a very short distance in space science. And so it only takes the light about 1.5 seconds to reach us from the moon. So you're seeing the moon about 1.5 seconds ago. So it's not truly live, but it's as good as we can do without being there. Now, some of you may have heard that tonight it's a blue moon. It's also one of the few blue moons that have occurred on Halloween. And the last one was in 2001. The last one before that was 1955. And the one before that was 1944. The 1944 one was the last one where everybody in the United States could see it. Every time zone could see it full. So it's been quite a long time since this has happened. The next time won't be until the year 2039. I would like to discuss briefly what a blue moon is, though. People get the idea that it actually looks like this, like the moon will actually appear blue in the sky. And I want to make it clear that that is not the case. The moon might appear blue for strange reasons, like there's smoke in the air or something like that. But for the most part, the term blue moon has nothing to do with color. It's also a term that gets misapplied. So most people think that the moon, the blue moon rather, is the second full moon of a month. Normally a month will only have one full moon. That is a very popular definition of blue moon, and people have come to accept it as the correct definition. It's not unusual actually to have that. So here's an example. This is this month, and as you can see, first of the month, full moon, and then 30th, another full moon. So that's supposedly a blue moon. That's the popular definition. The less known and correct definition is a little bit harder to figure out, and this is probably why it's less popular. Technically, every season should have 3 full moons. Sometimes a season will have 4. The third one, which should have been the last one, that's the blue moon. Now that is actually more rare than the more popular terminology, which is the 2 full moons in a month. So those of you who know the term know that it means a rare occurrence. Well, the true and correct definition of blue moon is actually more rare than the more popular definition. So there's something to talk about. Now this first full moon of this month was the famous harvest moon, which is the full moon that occurs closest to the autumnal equinox, which was on the 22nd of September. Here's a picture of that. It was very red and spooky, so I thought that was kind of appropriate for the show since it's the Halloween show. That red was caused by the smoke. There was still a lot of fires burning at the beginning of the month, and that the ash in the air actually causes higher energy wavelengths like blues and violets to be scattered out, allowing the lower energy wavelengths like red or orange to pass through. So everything takes on a more orange or red appearance, including, in this case, the moon. Some of you may have noticed extremely red sunsets around that time when all the fires were burning as well. So yeah, the full moon that we have now is the Hunter moon, which is the second. This is the full moon after the harvest moon is the Hunter or Huntsman's moon. Here's a picture of one of those occurring behind our logo. Very fancy. One thing I was hoping for everybody to see tonight would be the live moon, and you just saw it. I'm going to go back to that footage really quick. Some of you may have heard some news. The Sophia aircraft-based telescope, here's a picture of it, actually discovered using its infrared instrument there in the back of the jet that there is a lot more water on the moon than we ever thought. And so that's a big deal because we've always assumed that the moon was extremely dry. And of course, it is actually extremely dry, but there's more water than we thought. I'm going to go back to that live view. And I want you to see where they actually found that water. I'm going to zoom in on this live view. And the water was actually discovered down here by the pole, the South Pole, south of Tycho Crater. Tycho Crater is a very famous crater right there. And they found about 200 times less water than you find in the Sahara Desert in the spectra. Now that sounds like a very small amount of water, but for an object that we thought had almost no water, that's very significant. We assumed that almost all of the moon's water was only at the very deepest poles inside of deep craters, but now we find out there's a lot more water than we ever imagined on the lunar surface. So that is actually a big deal. And it could be good news for future lunar exploration. Now, water is very handy, not just for humans to drink, of course, but also in chemistry, if we want to make things on the moon, make different materials. Now, some of you might notice this live footage of the moon is wiggling. You might notice around the edge, it seems to be shimmering. And that shimmering is actually being caused by Earth's atmosphere. Of course, the moon is not actually shimmering like that. If you've ever looked through a telescope at the moon, you know that or anything really, it looks like it's wiggling, like it's underwater, and that's caused by the air itself, which is not stable. It distorts light as it passes through. And this is, of course, a big problem for astronomers. We tend to not like to look at objects in the sky unless they're very high up, because there's less air between you and outer space. But ideally, if you can leave Earth altogether, space telescopes have even less trouble. This phenomenon is known as atmospheric scintillation. And that twinkling, as people often call it, is troubling to astronomers, but it's not as big of a problem as atmospheric extinction, which is a phenomenon where air actually absorbs most wavelengths of light and we cannot study them at all. This is the reason for the existence of space telescopes, so we can get outside of Earth's atmosphere. But you can see that activity right there, that wiggling or scintillation, as we call it. Now, there's been some significant anniversaries on the moon. Last year, some of you might recall that it was the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11. And here, actually, I have a logo there. There you go, 50 years, that's nice. There was a lot of public interest in Apollo again, and it was really nice to talk about it. And a lot of people don't realize we actually have pictures of all the landing sites. Let me show you. So I'm gonna make that full screen for you. And this is Apollo 11, 12, 14, 13 is missing, of course, that didn't go so well. 15, 16, and 17. We have been to the moon 6 times, with people, that is. Robots have been to the moon many more times than 6. But in every case, you can see that footprints remain. Even though these pictures were taken recently in the last 5 years, we can see the footprints left by the astronauts. See the dark lines there. Those are actually the astronauts' footprints. This is the Surveyor 3 spacecraft, which Apollo 12 landed right next to, and you can actually see their footprints walking over to the spacecraft. That's pretty neat. We have here Apollo 14. As you can see, they walked farther away from the lander. They got bolder and more brave with every mission. And then Apollo 15, we introduced something new, the LRV, which was the lunar rover, and it drove around on the moon's surface like an electric golf cart. And as you can see, it leaves much more obvious tracks. Apollo 16, there's the rover again. And Apollo 17, and there we go, the LRV final parking spot. That was the last anyone drove on the moon right there. That's where the buggy was left. Interesting. Now, there's something I want to show you. My favorite object on the moon. On every mission, they install one of these things, the LRRR. That is the Lunar Retro-Reflecting Rangefinder. Let me show you a picture. This is a seismograph being installed, but then behind it, you can see the LRRR. Let me show you a picture of that thing. What this is a box of prisms. And these prisms are very important. When we shoot lasers, very, very powerful lasers at the moon, they will strike these prism boxes and bounce the laser beams back. And it allows us to figure out the distance to the moon. That's why we call it the rangefinder. So very important instrument. That's how we discovered that we're losing the moon. About 2 inches a year, the moon moves away. Interesting. I'm going to go back to my live footage. Let's zoom back out a little bit. We'll zoom in to some other parts of the moon. Some of you might notice the dark splotches on the moon, which make up the man in the moon's face. Those are called Maria, which means seas, but of course there are no oceans on the moon. Those seas are actually ancient lava fields. The moon was once geologically active and volcanically active, and we find that these regions are enormous flat plains smoothed out by once fluid lava flows which have solidified. They are so ancient, though, that they are also filled with craters, as you can see. And you can make them out clearly with just binoculars. You don't need a particularly nice telescope to see these things. So I was wondering if there'd be any questions. I'm going to interrupt myself if this is a good moment, if you have any for me. And if not, I'll keep talking.
Oh, we do have a few questions. Absolutely.
We like
So
questions.
we have Jamal and Everett is wondering, how old is the moon?
The moon is about exactly the same age as the Earth, although it's slightly younger. You may have heard the story. It seems very likely that the moon formed after a titanic collision destroyed Earth entirely, very early after its formation. So the Earth and the moon, and the sun for that matter, and all the objects in our solar system are about 4.5, 4.6, somewhere around there, billion years old. And the moon is slightly younger than that because of this cataclysmic formation hypothesis. There's a lot of evidence to support that. There was, for a long time, a mystery. We weren't quite understanding what the origins of the moon were because its behavior is a little strange. Its orbit is not what we expect. The moon's orbit agrees with the plane of our solar system, not with the tilt of Earth, which would indicate that we captured the moon, but we couldn't have captured it. The moon is too massive of a body for Earth to have captured it. It now seems likely that it formed after an enormous impact, like I mentioned. And the object that impacted Earth and destroyed it would have been about the size of Mars, so it would have been a planet-sized object. It would have been moving along the ecliptic plane, which is the plane of our solar system. So it's not as surprising that the moon would have formed from a disk that agreed with that plane. But I can actually show you exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm going to pause this. This is a simulation of the sky right now. This is the sky right now. The green line is the horizon, but we don't need that right now because we're going to go to the moon specifically. There it is. And I'm going to lock onto it. We're going to speed up time. And you're going to see the moon seems to follow a line. That's essentially what we're seeing is the moon's orbit, that red line. And that yellow line is the plane of our solar system. Notice that the moon's orbit does not disagree strongly with it, just like I said. And that was quite a source of mystery for a long time. So we came up with this idea that the moon formed after a collision. Now, I'm going to zoom back in because I want you to notice something. The moon seems to be changing over the course of days and weeks. It's experiencing phases. And of course, phases are not real. It's a figment of our perspective. It's because of where the moon is, where we are, and where the sun is. So I'm going to pause this right now. And I think that you can probably guess where the sun is in this image just by looking at the illumination of the moon. If I zoomed out, you'll see the sun. Oh, look, right there, that bright thing. Not surprising that it's on the right side, since the illuminated side, of course, faces the sun. The moon does not glow. It appears to glow because of reflected sunlight. If you see any object in our solar system, you see it because of reflected sunlight. The sun is the only bright object in our solar system, and the planets do not glow in visible light. Let's continue to move forward in time here. There's a full moon, so the sun would essentially be behind us. We'd have to completely turn around to find the sun. See, it's on the opposite side of the sky there. And then let's go to the famous new moon. That's when the moon is dark. Let's go a little farther. And the sun will be in the same part of the sky. See that right there? Of course, you won't see this because it'll be broad daylight. So let's get some blue sky there. See, that's how it would look. Atmosphere, not your friend when it comes to observing dim objects in bright daylight. Going backwards now. So that was a bit of a tangent. He asked me how old the moon was. That's 4.5 billion years. And I also showed you a little bit about phases. Any other questions?
Oh gosh, you know, one more that's come up a couple times is, what is the temperature? Like, how hot is it and how cold is it?
The temperature on the moon varies dramatically, and that's because it has no atmosphere to regulate temperature like Earth does. So it can actually be hot on the moon, hundreds of degrees Fahrenheit. It can also be hundreds of degrees negative Fahrenheit. So that extreme sweep in temperature, that extreme volatility in temperature is very hard on equipment. And that's why lunar probes and rovers tend to do very poorly on the moon. And many of them die during lunar night when it gets so very cold. And the lunar surface rock pulls heat right out of a spacecraft or a robot. It's not a coincidence that every time humans went to the moon, we went during lunar daylight. And of course, day on the moon is about 14 days long. And night on the moon is also about 14 days long. So you have plenty of time. And so the astronauts would never go at lunar night because it's dangerously cold. Yeah. And they also wanted to be able to see without flashlights. It'd be very dark on the moon in lunar darkness. So yeah, Very, very cold and very, very hot, both of which are dangerous, not just for equipment, but also people. And that's why that's one of the reasons why the spacesuits tended to be so bulky. This is not just there to keep air inside, it also helps regulate temperature. And that's very important. We humans don't do very well in extreme cold or extreme heat. We're pretty fragile creatures. Yeah. So yeah, moon is a very extreme temperature swing because it lacks an atmosphere to regulate temperature. It's a good question. Any other questions?
Oh, thank you, Troy. We have one last question. And that question is, why does the moon have so many holes in it?
So that's a wonderful question. Let's put up a different, I'm gonna put up a different picture real quick. Let's zoom in a bit here. This is no longer live. I just want you to know this is an image, a photograph we took here. And as you can see, even when I get very close, not just big craters, but also little tiny craters. The moon is covered with craters because it's been getting clobbered nonstop for over 4.5 billion years by meteors and comets and asteroids. The reason the moon is constantly struck by these objects is because it lacks the protection of an atmosphere again. Earth's atmosphere, as you probably know, and this is true of many atmospheres and many planets, causes most objects to burn up before they can reach the surface. Also, because we live on a planet with water and plate tectonics, continental drift, volcanism, these erosive processes will erase craters. So Earth only has a very, very small handful of craters compared to the moon because mostly objects can't create them because they burn up first. And then when those rare objects do make contact with their surface and leave a crater, those craters get erased. So Earth has very few craters compared to the moon because of the moon's, again, lack of atmosphere and also in this case, lack of erosion. I showed you the pictures of the astronauts' footprints. They're still there because there's no wind or rain on the moon to erase them. Think about that. Yeah, that's a good question.
Thanks, Troy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. I've learned so much about the moon that I look at almost every night. And
You know, there's many moons in our solar system. Our moon is the one we are most fond of because it's very close to us. We can actually see it with great detail. But there are many moons, and there might be something worth ending the show on for me. I'll show you a few other moons in our solar system. Let me show you really quick. Let's see. Hold that thought. So these are maps of the moon. And then these are all the large moons in our solar system, and these are drawn to scale. As you can see, Earth's moon is actually pretty big compared to some of the others. It's not the biggest, but it's pretty big. These are the 4 famous moons of Jupiter. This is the famous moon Titan of Saturn. These are all Saturn's moons here. Moons of Uranus and Neptune over here. There's Pluto and his moon, which is very similar in mass to Pluto. And then to help you understand how small they are, if you look closely, we have these tiny little things. These are also moons, but much smaller than ours. These are all drawn to scale. And then there's some comets. Comets are so small, they look like a little speck. And some asteroids, also very tiny compared to Earth's moon and all these other moons. Yeah, so good stuff.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. I have one last question before we go.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you heard about the great new restaurant that's on the moon.
I have not heard about the great new restaurant on the moon. Please tell me more. Well,
I've heard that the food is excellent, but there's absolutely no atmosphere.
Ah, that's hilarious.
Oh my goodness.
Well done.
Oh, well, Troy, thank you so much. I have learned a ton about the moon.
Oh, good.
And this has been wonderful. And I can't wait to come down and visit the observatory. And
we're looking forward to finally having people in here sometime, hopefully sooner than later. Yes. In the meantime, we'll do live internet stuff like this.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And I'm sure that you can go on to the Washington State Parks page and find out more information about that. That is so great. Well, we are getting to the end of our program, and I'm going to bring one of our presenters back on because it's time to cozy in. It's time to settle down, and we are going to hear a little bit of a ghost story. But Troy, I will have to have you stop sharing your screen in order for that to happen. It'll happen in a second. I promise. Okay, it is time to cozy in. Norm, are you there?
I think I am here. I am I here?
You're, or is it an operation?
I don't know. All right. Well, here is a scary story. It's way scarier than the last one. So, brace yourself. But everything's going to be okay just for your little ones. Okay. Just everything's going to be fine. This story is about a young woman named Emma. Now, she was smart. Oh, she was so smart. She was a sophomore in high school and she enjoyed being in the choir at school. And she also was in a lot of plays, things like that. But she had had some really bad problems with her stomach over the last couple of years. And the doctors at first, they were baffled. And she was very ill and in the hospital. And well, she had to do all her schoolwork at home. And she learned a lot, but boy, she missed her friends. And one thing she really missed, though, was walking to church with her family. There was a little tiny church just near their house, and they'd walk over there on Sunday morning after breakfast and enjoy themselves. But she hadn't been able to do that for like 6 months. She'd had 2 surgeries pretty recently, and she was just now feeling better. And the, it was Saturday night, and the next day was going to be church, and she was going to try and go. She was feeling pretty strong. And so she went to bed, and she woke up to church bells, the bells from the church. They didn't get me up. Well, they just probably assumed I was going to be too weak or too sick. So she got up, she looked out the window, and it was real foggy and pretty cold outside. So she put on warm clothing and walked around the house. Mom, Dad, Owen, her brother, nobody was home. He went without me. Gosh. She went down the stairs and well, she put on her big red wool coat. She buttoned it up tight and she went outside. She was going to go on her own. She walked across the street and across a little vacant lot that they always did to the next block. And then she took a left towards the church. Now, she did something she normally never does. She took a shortcut through the cemetery. Now, her brother was always wanting to do that, but she was late. So she went across the cemetery and then, well, there was nobody around. So, I mean, boy, everybody must have been on time. Everybody was inside. She made her way up the stairs. It was kind of hard for her because she was a little bit weak. And when she walked in, she started to unbutton her coat and well, she was shocked. The place was just packed. She'd never seen it so full. Wow, it must be a special day. She looked for a seat and there was a seat right on the left-hand side in the second pew. So she kind of made her way over and walked up trying to be as quiet as possible. They'd already started the sermon. There was an old pastor up there and she sat down and she looked down and caught her breath. And then she did that thing that we do when we're late for something. She looked up and tried to figure out what exactly was going on. Now, there was an old man I sat up there and he was giving the sermon. And she thought, oh, Pastor Vicky must be sick. Wow, he's really old. He's even older than Grandpa, and Grandpa's like 90. Wow. She couldn't quite make out everything he was saying. I don't know. She wasn't sure why. She looked around. She tried to look for her family, and she couldn't see them. In fact, she didn't see anybody that she recognized at all. Anybody at all. She was, huh. Oh, she just in front of her was a woman she did recognize. It was Mrs. Baker. Oh, Mrs. Baker. Well, wait a minute. I thought Mrs. Baker died. She looked around a little more, and there was a little boy with an old-fashioned clothing on. In fact, everybody's clothing looked old-fashioned. And then she saw, oh, it's Mr. Horning. He was the baseball coach. Well, I read about him dying in the newspaper. My gosh, this is a sermon for the dead. Everyone here is dead, except me. At that point, she looked to her right, and the woman that was sitting next to her stared right at her, and her eyes were black. She didn't panic. Emma got up and slowly sort of nudged her way back and started to back down, back, back out of the church. She got to the back of the room and she started to hurry towards the door, and she heard some footsteps behind her. She turned around and everyone was on their feet, and they were all turned around. They were all looking and moving towards her. Some were pretty close, and she made her way outside as quickly as she could. But like I said, she was feeling pretty weak, and she started to make her way down the stairs. She could only go so fast. And when she got to the bottom, suddenly somebody had her coat. Somebody was pulling at her coat, and she couldn't get it loose. She couldn't get it loose. And then so she slipped her coat off, and she took off as fast as she could. She didn't go fast, but she did not look back. I know that. She got across the vacant lot and to the house. Like I say, she opened the door, she closed it, and she locked it. She looked out the window. He didn't seem to be following. She turned around and Mom, Dad, Owen. Nothing. No one was there. She made her way to the top of the stairs, looked around in the rooms. They weren't there. She went in her room. She locked the door. She started to feel kind of dizzy, and she thought, oh, I'll go back to bed. That's what I'll do. I'll go back to bed. It's got to be a dream. She went to sleep. And she was woken up by her mom's voice. Emma, are you in there? Well, your door's locked. Are you feeling okay? Oh, yeah, I'm fine, Mom. I'm fine. At least I think I'm fine. She's okay. Okay, we're having some breakfast. We're come down to church. All right, Mom. She got up and she looked out the window, and it was a beautiful day. The sun was shining. Oh, it was wonderful. She put on a nice dress. She went down the stairs, went into the kitchen, and her dad was serving up scrambled eggs and toast. And she was even had enough of an appetite to eat some. He said, well, honey, boy, you look okay, but are you all right? Well, I had the strangest dream. And she told him all about the dream of going to the church and all the people being dead. And her mom said, wow, that sounds pretty scary, Emma. And her dad said, yeah, boy. And her brother said, that's not that scary. Well, they finished breakfast, and then they all made their way outside to church. It was, like I say, it was really warm out, and they walked across the street and across the vacant lot, took a left. They did not go through the graveyard. Her brother didn't even mention it. She made her way up the stairs. She was going along slowly, and suddenly she slipped. She looked away, and her dad, he grabbed her by the arm. Are you okay, honey? Are you feeling weak? And Emma, she got up and she just pointed. She pointed out into the cemetery with her finger extended, and her mom looked and said, Emma, is that your red wool coat on top of that gravestone? And that's the story.
Oh, Norm, I have goosebumps.
Good. But she was fine.
I had my spider close. I was so concerned about Emma and her coat. Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing.
Well, yeah. There's an actual little girl that I'd heard tell that story once, who I dedicate that story to. Her name is Emma. So
Oh, well, thank you so much. What a special and very spooky, spooky way to end our camp in tonight. Now, this is a moment that a lot of people have been waiting for. I believe Jenny is here to announce the winner of tonight's photo contest.
Yes, I am excited to share the winner of tonight's photo contest.
Do we have a drum roll? Yep.
Oh yeah. Let me share. All right. So Erin Carter from Bothell, congratulations on submitting this winning photo of her family snuggled in, and kudos to that spider for spinning such a lovely tent for them to camp in. The hot chocolate looks cozy, and we're just so thrilled to get this photo and all the photos of our contest. Just as a reminder, there's still time to enter into the photo contest, and there's still opportunities to win. Our teams are going to be looking over all the great photo submissions from our contest here at waparks.org/photo-contest. And there will be winners announced continuing through November 2nd. So Erin Carter is going to be receiving a $75 REI gift card, and there's more great prizes like that. So please do keep submitting these fantastic photos.
Oh, thank you so much, Jenny. And I wonder, John Floberg from Washington State Parks Foundation, are you there?
I'm there, I'm here, and I just wanted to thank everybody, all the great performers tonight, and the Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission for amazing programs, and our donors for making this all possible. And Allie, how can I thank you? You've done so much. Thanks for pulling this all together and keeping us on track. Thanks, Allie.
Oh,
Thanks,
John,
Brian
it's been
Pasternak.
so much fun. Thank you guys so much. And we're going to end with just a last slideshow of some of the fantastic photos that we've had. Some music by our friend Johnny Brieger, who is an incredible musician and has been with us at other camp-ins. And I want everybody to have a safe and absolutely wonderful Halloween. And don't forget to come and visit your state parks. So thank you. Thank you to everybody.